Now we'll discuss in brief about national income. So write the heading national income. There are three types of method under national income to calculate national income of a particular country. Who calculates national income, or we can say GDP data for our country? That is okay. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, MOSPI. But under it, we have two organizations or offices, CSO and NSSO. So CSO calculates data of national income. They will ask maybe someday CSO who calculates national income for India. That is Central Statistical Office. So first we'll discuss what is GDP, what is GNP. That is quite simple. GDP. What's the full form? Gross Domestic Product. And GNP is Gross National Product. So we will discuss few terms under it, like what is gross, what is net, what is depreciation, what is net factor income from abroad. These are the basic things. Have you read NCERT of 12th class? Economy NCERT? Read 11th class NCERT, Indian economy, and then 12th class NCERT of macroeconomics. Maybe whatever notes I am giving, printed notes, you will get everything into it, but 11th class NCERT is important for mains perspective. You will get the scenario of Indian economy that we will discuss tomorrow in brief. That what was the sector, or what was the scenario in 1947, how it changed from 1947 to 1966. These are the big paradigm shift in Indian economy. Then again in 1991, then again in 2011-2012 period. Then again we are experiencing the current economic situation is quite complex. So first we'll write the definition of GDP. Have you written CSO? So first write CSO under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. CSO under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation calculates national income for India. Calculates national income for India. On the next line you write GDP. What is GDP? Full form is Gross Domestic Product. Full form is Gross Domestic Product. It is, so you write, it is the total value. It is the total value of all the final goods and services of it is the total final value, right? It is the total final value. So write one word also, final. It is the total final value of all the goods and services produced in our domestic territory, of a particular country, in a financial year, So there are few keywords in this definition. We'll discuss those keywords. First one is final value. So underline it, final. What do you understand by the word final value of particular good? Suppose for example, if we take car, the finished car includes a lot of raw material like rubber, steel, etc. Suppose for example, we are putting steel of 1 lakh rupees in a particular car of 5 lakh. So there is car A. So we have car A. Sorry for the interruption. So final value is 5 lakh rupees. Okay. In the final value we have a rubber, we have steel, we have a lot of raw material. Suppose steel consists of rupees 1 lakh. Rubber consists of 50,000 and there are a number of raw material. Suppose we are calculating GDP of this car, 5 lakh rupees. We have to include production of steel, rubber, etc. because someone also produced these steel, these rubbers, but we are calculating the final value of that car. If we include these two figures also, 5 lakh plus 1 lakh plus 50,000, it will come out as 6.5 lakh. But we are doing a double counting. Because we are already included steel prices, already included rubber prices. And here in the final value, 5 lakh, these two we have already undertaken. After that what happened? Again we are adding these two values separately. These are intermediary goods for this particular car. From this example, suppose I am buying one steel sheet. Not for car making purpose, but for making my roof. So that steel comes under final product, finished goods. But if I am using that steel sheet in making of this particular car, then steel becomes intermediary goods. So it depends on final consumption. This is the final consumption. Getting my point? But in final consumption, we have two types of goods: consumer goods and capital goods. What are consumer goods? Directly consumed by the consumers or by the household. What are capital goods? Capital goods we are using capital goods for further production. They will assist in further production. Like suppose I am purchasing this car for a taxi. So again it will earn some income for me. For me it is a capital goods if I am running that car in a taxi. But if I am buying this car for my personal use, obviously its value will deteriorate in near future, in 2 years, 3 years. So this is not a capital good if I am using this car for my personal consumption. ठीक है, clear है? So the word final is clear. Now another word is the total final value of all the goods and services produced within the domestic territory. So another word is domestic territory. So what's the meaning of domestic territory here? Suppose we are taking example of India. So domestic territory includes obviously territorial boundaries plus territorial waters, 12 nautical miles, plus all the embassies, consulates, all oil rigs, exploration sites all over the world, as well as our defense establishment. Okay, I'll make you write all these points. So domestic territory includes our physical territory, land area, plus territorial waters up to 12 nautical miles. Okay. Then after that, all the embassies, consulates, plus oil rigs, exploration sites, and at last all the defense establishments. Like recently, Chinese government established one defense establishment in Djibouti. Okay. So whatever they are earning from that particular territory, that will also come under the part of domestic territory. Like Diego Garcia, an island in the Indian Ocean, is a defense establishment of United States. Diego Garcia belongs to Britain. US has taken that island on lease. Okay. So whatever the production is happening on that particular island will include in the GDP of United States. So domestic territory, is it clear? I'll make you write everything. After that, another key term is financial year. You can calculate GDP quarterly, monthly, half yearly, but most authentic data comes from yearly comparison, because then only we can compare Indian economy with Chinese economy, with other economies. Getting my point? So these three important keywords. So first one, you write final. What are final goods? After putting a colon, you write it includes goods that are used for final consumption, goods that are used for final consumption. In bracket you write both consumer and capital goods. Both consumer and capital goods. Bracket close. It does not include intermediate goods separately. It does not include intermediate goods separately. It does not include intermediate goods separately, just to avoid double counting. Just to avoid double counting. Next keyword is domestic. Domestic territory includes official land area plus territorial waters up to 12 nautical miles. Plus all the embassies and consulates, plus oil rigs, exploration sites, plus defense establishments, establishments, full stop. Like ONGC Videsh Limited is exploring oils in Siberian area, है ना? OVL also involved in Vietnam, South China Sea. These are the examples. No, we cannot give. Interest we cannot take. Interest is something when we consider, just give me some time, I'll explain income method. In income method, we are including this. If some country is giving interest, that is inflow of capital. Balance of payment, current account, capital account. That is income. Interest is income. Principal is not income. But we are including interest rate over and above that particular loan period. Suppose you are saying that if we are giving some loan to African country, they are giving us interest. That will include, but I'm talking about domestic territory. So interest doesn't mean it's a financial inflow of a capital. Okay, that comes under income method. But here we are discussing GDP. And that is earned by Indian national. That will come under GNP. अभी clear हो जाएंगी सारी चीजें. GDP में नहीं आएगा. ठीक है. So domestic territory clear. Next one is financial year. Indian financial year is 1st April to 31st March. 1st April to 31st March. We have 4 quarters. We have 4 quarters. Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4. That you must know, I guess. We calculate GDP quarterly as well as yearly. The government is giving some data of H1 and H2 also, but most authentic data we are using or we are analyzing for policy making is quarterly and then yearly. For international comparison, right? For international comparison, yearly data is considered as, for international comparison, yearly data is considered as the most authentic. The most authentic. Full stop. Now write the definition of GNP. What is GNP? Gross National Product. So you write definition. It is the total final value. It is the total final value. It is the total final value of all the goods and services, of all the goods and services produced by the normal resident, produced by the normal resident of a particular country, in a financial year. There is one difference. Which one? Normal resident in place of domestic territory. So after that you write normal resident, the definition of normal resident. It is an individual. Whose center of economic interest lies in the country, in which he or she resides. ठीक है. full stop. Have you understood this sentence? Normal resident whose center of economic interest lies in that particular country. Suppose, for example, there are few cricketers comes to India for 3 or 4 months in every summer for IPL. They are earning money from our country, but their center of economic interest is not in India. They are taking that money back to their country. So these income earned by those individuals, those cricketers, will not be the part of GNP, but will be the part of GDP. Getting my point? Because they are earning that money in India, in Indian territory. So that will include in gross domestic product. But their income will not include in gross national product, because their center of economic interest does not lie in India. Difference between Mughals and British. Center of economic interest. Simple. What British authority was doing? They are taking money back to their homeland. Center of economic interest lies in Britain, not in India. Although they have invested a lot of money, but in comparison to the drain of wealth, that investment is nothing. There are some provision in Income Tax Act 1961 that if you reside more than 180 days, your income will consider as a national income. So if some person for the purpose of business or any other thing, they stay in India for more than 180 days, then it is called national income. Their income will be included in national income of our country, because their center of economic interest lies in India. If you are earning and living more than 180 days, ठीक है, ये आपके लिए important नहीं है provision, just to inform you. GDP and GNP. So suppose this is India and this is US. Now your GDP is A plus B, but your GNP is A plus C. Getting my point? I think it will make clear that this is India. Both Indians and foreigners are working together. So whatever the production is happening in this circle will be the part of your GDP. इसको लिखा ना, domestic territory, irrespective of who is living, who is earning, and who is producing. If the production is happening in India, it will be the part of GDP. But what about this? GNP, only nationals. How will you find this C, nationals, if they are sending money, remittances? Then the government will get to know that some people of Indian citizens or Indian citizens are living abroad and they are earning there. If suppose one of your friend living in the remote area of Brazil and not sending any money to India, then we will not get to know about his or her income. So calculation is important. So India receives around 70 billion US dollar per year in terms of remittances, one of the highest. अभी जो decline हो गया brings it down to 66. China is 61 and third one is Philippines, 28 billion US dollar per year. Still India is the topmost remittances receiving country. ठीक है, से बना लो प्लीज, बना लिया. Any Indian diaspora. I've dictated Indian citizen, normal resident. So there's a difference between normal resident and citizen. Center of economic interest. Clear? So first one we'll discuss gross versus net. So if we deduct depreciation from gross, whatever gross GDP, gross data of everything, gross income, we will arrive at net income. Suppose you are earning 10 lakh rupees per year. You are paying 2 lakh rupees as tax. So your gross income is 10 lakh. But your net income, it means whatever you will get into your hand, that will called as net. Then if we add depreciation in net, we will arrive at gross. So what is the difference between these two? Depreciation. So you write here. There are two more. So from GDP to NDP, there's a difference of depreciation. Now what is depreciation? Any idea what is depreciation? Fall in the value. That's simple. But there's one term. So you write depreciation. It refers to a situation. It refers to a situation where a capital good experiences some wear and tear due to lapse in time. Some wear and tear due to lapse in time is called depreciation. Suppose you have purchased one car, okay? Then after that you will experience some kind of depreciation in the value of car. Suppose you have purchased one car for 5 lakh today, and if you are expected to sell next week, the value of the car will not remain the same. Although you have not driven enough, maybe 5, 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers. But the value of second-hand car is pretty different, even after one day. Same case with the machinery. Machinery installed in big factory. Same with the case of your house. Wear and tear due to lapse in time. Getting up? From market price to factor cost. So we calculate GDP by two prices, we can say. GDP at market prices and GDP at factor cost. Any idea of these two terms? Inflation? No. Taxes. Industry incurred in the production of process. So we can say that in the production process, whatever the cost is incurred on that, the production, suppose this is a podium. There's some cost incurred in the production of this podium, like cost of labor, cost of capital. Capital means you have to purchase wood, you have to purchase that mica, then paint, a lot of things. So for that, you have incurred some kind of cost. But when you add taxes on it, 12% GST, then it becomes market price, because in market you have to pay taxes. So final price will be calculated on market prices. But suppose government is giving subsidy on producing podium. It means by receiving subsidy from government, I will experience some fall in my cost. So from converting FC to here or MP to FC, we have to add net indirect taxes. Here net means you have to add indirect taxes and you have to deduct subsidies. Because subsidies are the benefits that you are receiving from government. If you are not receiving that subsidy, it means you have to incur on your own at the same cost. So here you write NIT, net indirect taxes. Net indirect taxes. Then the third one. Is it clear? Any doubt? If you have any doubt, you can ask anytime. Domestic versus national. So from domestic to national, if you are moving, it means simple from GDP to GNP. You have to add net factor income from abroad. Because suppose you are getting 70 billion US dollar as a remittances, but you are also giving some kind of remittances, like people of Bangladesh, people of Nepal, people of Bhutan living in India, they are also sending money from India to their home country. So it means India is also experiencing some outflow of, or what we can say, outward remittances. So there will be a net amount. So India is receiving 70 billion net amount. That's quite a huge figure. 70 billion US dollar you are receiving. So net factor, net word again. So it means whatever the plus minus happened, after that you will arrive at final figure. Bank balance sheet mein hota na, debit, credit, then final amount, final balance in your account. Same thing, net factor income from abroad. So you are also paying something abroad and you are also receiving something. There will be a net amount. So if you add this from domestic to national, you will convert your GDP into GNP. There is another term, but this is separate. Current versus constant. So we'll write separately. These three are the basic. Current and constant are important for our examination purpose. So you write current and constant. Any idea about these two terms? Newspapers are continuously giving current, GDP at current prices, GDP at constant prices. Which one? Constant. So in constant we have a base year. Now what's the meaning of this base year? Some reference year. Suppose for example you are studying or you have studied 3 years in your college. So you marked one reference year as a first semester. So you'll compare all the semester marks with this first year semester marks. Same case with the GDP. Our reference year, or what we can say base year, is what? India's base year is, in order to calculate GDP, what's the base year? – 2011-12 is the current base year in order to calculate GDP. So we have shifted all the indices to this base year. Index, do you know index? Index number, you must have studied in your statistics classes. Index number 11-12 mein rehta hai. ठीक है, don't worry, we're not going to ask this. 2011-12 is our reference year. So how we will select base year? There are two conditions. It should be a normal year and it should be a latest year. Now what does it mean? Latest year, so you can understand. Normal year. What is normal year? Before that, we have a base year of 2004 and 5. So most of the trend is saying that we have to change base year in every 5 years. So from 2004-5, we have to change 8, 9, 9, 10 maybe. Why 11, 12? because 2008 there was a crisis. So that was not considered as a normal year. If we achieve high production this year, for example, agriculture, that is also not a normal year. If we experience hike in the GST revenue for one particular month, that will not consider as a normal month for the perspective of revenue collection from GST. What is normal? Average. That's why government selected this 2011-12. Why it should be latest year? Why it should be latest year? Because you cannot compare the consumption of 2004 and 5 with 2011-12. Obviously, GDP data we calculate in terms of consumption. And according to that base year 2004 and 5, India's GDP was quite low. If you remember 2014, before election, GDP growth was 4.7%. This government changed the base year. And first year we have experienced 7.4% growth rate. How does it happen? एक साल में from 4.7 to 7.4. How? They changed the methodology. That is totally not unethical. Because some of the sectors which were excluded in the previous base year, like tuition industry is a big industry by the time 2011-12. That was not the case with 2004 and 5. Getting my point? So we have included a lot of new sectors in the calculation of GDP. So India's GDP went up. Data is correct, no discrepancy in data. But we changed the methodology. You can not compare the consumption basket of 2004-5 and 2011-12. We were consuming burger in 2011-12. We cannot compare the same consumption of burger pizza in 2004 and 5. There are a number of examples. So now it may be clear. Yes? So we'll write how to select base year. First we'll write constant and current. So constant, first one constant. It is based on a particular reference year. It is based on a particular reference year, popularly known as base year, comma. We compare GDP data with this base year, in order to calculate a real GDP. Now again the question arises, what is real GDP? So in bracket you write, real GDP refers to the actual production of goods and services. Real GDP refers to the actual production of goods and services. Real GDP refers to the actual production of goods and services. Clear? So if we have some base year, it means the data of 17-18 we can compare with 11-12. Okay? Now what is current? Current prices. If we say we calculate GDP at current prices. So at current prices we are taking monetary value. We are not taking real increase in the production of goods and services. In current prices, when we are calculating GDP at current prices, it means we are calculating in terms of monetary value. Suppose, for example, the price of the marker in 2011-12 was around 20 rupees. Now it costs around 30 rupees. If I am producing 100 marker in 2011-12 and the same production is happening in 2018, can you consider as an increase in the real GDP? No, because there is no actual increase in the production of this marker. 100 I was producing in 2011-12, 100 I am producing in 2018. But I am earning more money in comparison to 2011-12 because the prices in 2011-12 was 20 rupees, now 30 rupees. So if I am selling 100 markers, ठीक है, simple, 100 markers into 20, कितना हो गया? 2000 rupees. But in 2018, I am getting 3000. So if I'll include this 3000, it shows that there is a growth, but growth only in terms of monetary value. So that is why we never consider constant, or we never consider current prices as a best part to measure GDP. We always consider constant prices. So when we say real actual growth in the production of goods and services, what does it mean? The amount of goods and services increased with the reference to the base year. Okay? So you write the definition of current prices. It refers to the increase in the monetary value. It refers to the increase in the monetary value of goods and services in a particular country. ठीक है, done? In a particular country. So current versus constant. Now we have written real GDP. So when we talk about real GDP, it means we are calculating GDP from the perspective of some base year, reference year, or we are calculating GDP on constant prices. But here we calculate nominal GDP. So write nominal GDP. It does not show the actual increase in the production of goods and services. Rather it shows increment in the prices of goods and services. Increment in the prices of goods and services. That's it for today.